All right, we're holding Sif Hey, Kuf Aleph, 101 Sif Hey. So where we are is the discussion of Chaticha Royal Iskabed, something that is worthy of serving to a guest is never bottled, never nullified. So we went through a number of different limitations and understandings of that. We had the Machlokes, the Mechaber and Ramah. If do we say that as long as it has to be ready for the guest himself, fully cooked and ready to go without any action necessary? If there's any actions necessary, it's not Chaticha or Iskabed, then it could be nullified. Or, as the Ramah said, if there is major action required, meaning something you wouldn't do at home, then it is not considered Iskabed. But if it's not so much action required, you just need to salt and cook, because the kind of thing, and these are the kinds of actions you would do at home, then it is considered Iskabed and not nullified. Yes.
I asked the question about today's, his modern day,
So I quoted from him who he said that it would seem like it would change the halacha today.
I was going to ask Rabbi Benol this morning because he was sitting there. He came. The person was an hour late, so he sat there for a lot of time. So there was a lot of people asking shilas then, and I was like, didn't think of it then.
Dalid and Hay we're middle, but we're holding Hay. Dalid and Hay is a list of items that that we say were not considered royal iskabed, not considered worthy of serving. Did we do Dalid? I don't think we did Dalid. Did we do Dalid? No? Okay. So Dalid has going to be a list of things that are different things, whether or not they're worthy of being served or not be worthy of being served. And again, as we mentioned yesterday at the end, it's subject to norms of the time and the place that one lives. But let's read them nonetheless. Dalid. Shuman hakanta, that is fat. That's from the stomach lining fat of a calf, even though it is big in quantity. Ein royal iskabed is not the kind of thing that you would serve to your guest.
Fat from the what? From the what?
Calf? Stomach lining of a calf.
A calf.
Yeah. Not worthy of serving. Okay.
Is it worthy of serving altogether? Okay, I guess.
Maybe you'd use it as use it as a non-stick, maybe. Maybe. Okay, then continues the Ramah, aval or shuman avos, but the skin of a duck, which is apparently very fat and very tasty, mikra iskabed, that would be something that you would serve on its own. The ain't a butler, not nullified. Sorry?
The fat.
It's fatty. It's fatty. The way he translates here, at least, it's fatty skin of a goose. I'm sorry, not a duck. How do they translate there in English? Fats of goose skin. Okay. Again, I guess colloquially in Poland during our most time, this was something that they would serve to their guests. Hey, korkovan. Korkovan is like the part of the intestine that's really the dirtiest part, because it's what processes the food and separates the waste. I think there's a word for it in English. What do they give it there?
Gizzards.
A gizzard. Thank you very much. I had to look up what that was, because korkovan I knew from halacha, but they translated in gizzard. Check it out. It's a part of the animal. It's part of the stomach that sorry.
Doesn't sound appetizing.
It's not. And therefore, v'chein shar b'nei yayim, as well as the rest of the intestines, ein royal iskabed is not the kind of thing you would serve before guests. What about kishka? You're not going to serve your guest kishka. I don't know. But again, we said yesterday that if it's only worthy of serving because you combine it with other things,
right,
then it doesn't get the same halacha. So plain kishka you would never serve. You might serve it stuffed kishka, maybe. And even then, your stuffed kishka would only be in a cholent. So then I don't know if it would count as royal iskabed. Sif Vav. Okay. Had, someone's keeping track of the time? Put the buzzer on at 42. Had the beria chaticha iskabed le batli. This fact, this halacha that we said, that a beria, sif simin kuf, a beria, the self-contained created item, not nullified, with all the conditions, if it meets all the conditions. And the chaticha iskabed, and this piece that's worthy of serving to a guest. Batli is never nullified. This is only true if they still are whole and complete. But if they've been cut up, or they've been, nisrasku means like shredded or completely dissolved, something of that nature. The point is you can no longer identify where the thing is. Until the point it's lost its original image. Right? Someone asked this about this yesterday. But now it's nullified. It's only, right, we already had one of the 4 conditions of burial was that it's whole, and now we're learning the same condition applies to the chaticha roy l'skabed. Okay? Because now at this point, it no longer has that same value. Now here's the chiddush that we're learning here. Even if it became shredded after it fell into the mixture, right? And the Rambam adds, even if after you found out about it. We had that in the last week in Tzaddik Tes about the prohibition against nullifying things in the first instance, and whether or not we consider knowledge. And now that you know about it, it has to be it is nullified or not nullified, right? When two drops fall in, do they combine, not combine? So here the Rambam again is saying a similar thing, that even if it's after you know, which means you knew that thing fell in there, so at that juncture you knew that nothing was bottled. But then at some point it got shredded by accident, not intentionally. But he says that's only if it was shredded not unintentionally. Levat le'iser. It wasn't done with the intention of nullifying the prohibition. So you knew it fell in there, but before you had a chance to take it out, your help did the next step of the cooking, which was to blend everything. Or
originally it was usher and you knew it, but it happened that it got blended.
Correct. It went into the blender.
Now it's permissible.
Now it's permissible because it's nullified. Because it's nullified by 60. Because the whole thing that it wasn't nullified was a chumrah to begin with, and it was only a chumrah because it was worthy. Now it's no longer worthy. But if you did it intentionally, now you're nullifying a prohibition. In the first instance, you may not do so. But if you intentionally shredded it up in order to get rid of the prohibition, also it's forbidden. U'LeMaaseh, to the one who does the act of shredding. If it's his. As well as if you did it for somebody else. We learned this last week. That if someone went ahead and nullified something that he wasn't supposed to, we want to make sure that no one gets any benefit from that act of nullification. And therefore, if it's yours, then you definitely can't have it. But even if it's not yours, you did it for somebody else, that person can't have it either. Right? This is the same. This is going back to Tzaddik Tes. The same halach is about whether someone who nullifies something intentionally. Even though in this case, you're not doing an act of nullification. It was already nullified biblically anyway. You're just doing an act of nullifying the rabbinic chumrah. But still, you're penalized and you don't get to enjoy that nullification. Continues the Rambam, it's irrelevant. This issue is irrelevant whether or not the piece that's not nullified, the barrier or the chaticha, fell into other items of the same kind or of a different kind. The same halachas apply, and it's not nullified even by 1,000. Okay, any details that I want to share here from Vav? Yeah, the point, of course, here is that it was cut up and shredded to the point that you can't serve it to a guest. But let's say a large steak, which is cut in half a steak is still something you would serve to a guest. So it's got to be shredded to the point that it's no longer right. Well, the Shulchan Aruch gives 2 cases, right? If it was cut or if it was shredded. So shredded for sure, right? But if it was cut, still, it's not just cut in half. It has to be cut to the point. Beria, even if it's cut in half, could be nullified because it's no longer a beria anymore. But the chaticha or l'skabed has to be cut to such a point that it's no longer something you would serve to a guest. Yeah, that's an important point.
Right, so for beria, it's just a hard and fast rule.
So there's a difference between.
For this, it depends on.
That's right. When it came to the principle of beria, it was a hard and fast rule. It has to be shalom. It's not a beria. With chaticha or l'skabed, it has to be, so long as it's still roy l'skabed, it's roy l'skabed. Okay. Zayin.
Interesting.
Sorry?
I saw that the Shach says in the note that if it's something as a beria and a chaticha, a ruliskabed, and it gets crushed, it doesn't trump that. It's still, even though it's no longer a beria, it's still a
right. If something's a beria and a chaticha, it's cut in half. Yeah. Maybe it's no longer a beria, but it's still a chaticha. It's still chaticha or l'skabed.
We spoke about that yesterday, I think.
Did we? Maybe. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Now, if a case where a piece that is royal l'skabed and it mixed into a bunch of other pieces, and nechtecha chaticha achas, and one of the pieces in this mix is cut up. You don't know which one it was. So you have 5 pieces of minute steak. One of them is iser, and one of the 5 gets cut up. I don't know which one got cut up though. So ain't toilim lemar. We don't just assume that shall iser nechtach, that was the prohibited one that's cut. And so there's 5 pieces of minute steak. One of them is no longer worthy of serving somebody. That must be the one that was forbidden.
But if 3 of them were cut, then you could assume it's
Umizbatal, and we wouldn't say that it's nullified. V'hiyu kulam mutaris, and everything should be permitted. Rather, that one itself is kosher. Either way, if this is the prohibited one and now it's cut up, it's no longer roy liskabed, and afkulam mutaris, everything would be permitted. So certainly that one is permitted. And if it's not the prohibited one, harei mutaris, it was kosher the whole time. So if one of these 5 pieces got cut up, I'm not going to say that the roy liskabed is gone, but that one is no longer a problem.
42.
It's 42?
We can finish this,
Okay, we're going to miss our time. We'll continue right after my... All right, we're middle of Zion. And-
cheap for a full 3-course meal.
So where did we...
We left off with Zion.
We're middle of Zion. What did we just say? We just said that if you have a chaticha or liskabed that falls into a mixture, and you don't know which one it is, so no bittul, one of them is nullified. Sorry, one of them got shredded. So now I'm not going to say that everything is now permitted, because I'm going to assume that the royal liskabed, the usher one, is the one that got shredded. But the shredded one is kosher.
Right.
Because either it was always kosher and it's fine, or it was the forbidden one and it's not making anything else forbidden. Okay. Continues the mechaber v'afilu, even if the majority of these minute steaks, 10 minute steaks in there, one of them is not kosher, I don't know which one, 7 of them all shredded up. Ain't total loimar, we don't say shar isser ma'arov, that the prohibited one isn't the majority. Shenechtuchlit has been cut up, and everything would be okay. All the ones that have been shredded are permitted. Again, for the same reason, because either they are kosher all the time, or if they're the forbidden one, they're not nullified. That's shredded. So all the cut up ones you can have, but the full ones, asuras, are prohibited. What are you saying?
I just said what he said.
Yeah. Okay. Any details from Zion that I want to share from here? I don't think so. There's nothing in here. Pretty straightforward. Okay, I'm going to do chesem test and then make a few comments. This is really shiloh to come up in a shlach tois. We had this before. We mentioned this before, that with beria and with chaticha or liskabed, you can have this issue when a chicken or a cow turns out to be a treifa, and now all those pieces of that cow are no longer good. Now, it sometimes can be hard to find because you have the lung is punctured, but the rib is somewhere else, and you got to go find the rib, right? Okay, so this is what's going to be dealt with in chesem tes. So read both of them, and I'll explain some caveats and some details. Kurkavan, that this gizzard is part of the stomach. Yeah, she nimtza nakov. It's found to be, there's a puncture in it, which now it's a treifa. There's a hole, puncture, so it's now a treifa. Now, when it's arva oisek tarnagoylos and macheres, but the rest of the chicken is now mixed with other chickens. So the chicken is a roy liskabed, right? And it's not nullified. And now it's prohibited. So if I shechted 50 chickens that day, I'm throwing out 50 chickens in the garbage. Now, again, today in abattoirs today, it's not a big deal. You sell it to a non-Jew, it's not a big deal. But in the old day, this was a very big deal. Right? It could mean that the whole town doesn't have chicken for the next month. Right. It's a very big deal. And if there's, with a cow for sure. Okay, cow is different already. Okay. So then, what it says like that, it says like this. Medamin, you want to now identify which chicken is connected. Sorry, which chicken did this punctured gizzard come from? So it says like this. Medamin shumin shebekorkovan. You now take the fat that's near this korkovan and you compare it. You compare it to the part of the animal that's right next to the gizzard. So, right, you have, let's just assume it's the whole stomach, right? And the stomach has fat lining around it. And then next to the stomach, you'll have, the rib cage, right? So you pull the part of the rib cage that's right next to the gizzard. it has some fat on it. The gizzard has some fat on it. You look at the fat. Are they the same?
Okay.
If they're the same, says Vim Doimim Lagamri. If they're completely similar, we can assume that that's the chicken from which the punctured gizzard came. Throw that one out because it's treif, or give it to a guy. And we can see the rest of them are kosher. But the same thing is anything like this.
Like
Says
the fat, that means like the fat from one chicken and the fat from another chicken look that different that
Oh,
you could recognize?
so I was going to say that the Taz says, if you look at the Taz on the side there, which Taz is it? It's Taz number 15. That's not there?
Oh, 15? Yeah.
You see it says there. The Taz says we cannot rely on this anymore because we don't have that capacity to know these very subtle shades. The fat is colored, the color of the skin here, the fat there. But the Ramah seems to be saying anything similar to this, which means any manner by which you can identify that this treifa is connected to the rest of the animal, you're going to kosherize everything else. Now I assume it's on two accounts. It's a leniency, but I assume it's on two accounts. A, because it's a chumrah to begin with, and we're not saying it's nullified. Biblically speaking, this is nullified anyway. It's a chumrah upon a chumrah. Even the fact that you need 60 is a chumrah of the Rabbanon. Right? And here, the fact that it's not nullified even in 60 is a chumrah upon chumrah. That's reason one. And reason B, I assume, is because otherwise you're causing massive loss for for shlachtais, for a local butcher throwing out all his chickens is a big deal. And for the poor woman who bought the one chicken, this is also a big deal. It's a monetary loss for her. No chicken for a family for the week. It's a big deal. So I'm assuming combining this together, it was the Rav's job to go look at the chicken and see if he can figure out where this non-kosher thing came from and save everybody else's chickens. Yeah? Okay.
Good point.
Okay.
That's the first halacha. Now, the second thing to know, I was going to say this after, but now, I guess since we're talking about it, it's important, even the theoretical halacha is like this, even though, again, we're not working in these kinds of things. These things never going to come to us in our kitchen. But it's even just to understand the halacha, you can't just mash the two and say, oh, now it looks similar. You have to mash them to all of them to demonstrate that it doesn't look like any of them, but it only looks like this one. Because it's possible two chickens to have this will look similar enough that you couldn't identify for sure it's this one. So if you're going to say for sure it's this one, then you have to know it's not the same as the rest of them.
It's crazy.
Okay, which leads to the next halacha, which would be much easier to figure out. Right? So this point lends itself to the Taz, which says we don't have the capacity to pick up the subtleties in these colors.
So we do the best we can.
Or you can't, and it's not kosher. Do your best you can to make sure that your chicken is together before you determine that it's not treifa.
Right, well, okay. That's most important.
Because if you separate one piece and you find out later it's treifa, now you're stuck. Okay, Tess. This one's much easier to do. Roish keves, the head of a lamb. Shenimtza treifa. It turns out to be a treifa. Right? There's something in the brain and the animal and the head of the animal that makes it a treifa. And it's severed from the rest of the body. Now I want to find the rest of the body to throw it out and not ruin because of royal escapa the rest of my lambs. But I know the mezek kevesu, and I don't know which lamb it came from. Yeah.
In other words, I have a lot of bodies without heads.
Correct. And one of the heads became a treifa. What I got to do is throw out all the lambs now?
Right.
So he says, "V'kifu harosh tzavare shel echad makvasim." You take the head of the lamb and you push it, you bring it back to the neck. And you see that the head fits perfectly. It's like a puzzle. The head and the neck fit perfectly. Exactly. You can't attach the wrong head to the wrong shoulders. It's halacha. That's right. So you can rely on this, and allow the rest of it to become kosher. But again, similarly, the same point, you have to make sure that it doesn't fit the other ones. If it fits 5 of them, then it's useless. The point is, it only matches this one.
It's not useless at all. You just saved 45
Oh,
chickens.
so you know what? So maybe you know what? You're right. You're right, Taka. Those 5 I'll say I don't know, but the rest of them are okay. Okay, yeah. Let's just say you're correct.
Why wouldn't you do that?
That's very logical. And here we don't have the Ramah's we don't have the Taz's comment saying we can't do that nowadays because it's something anybody can do. There's anything you can do. I assume that when I'm not a butcher, but I assume when you chop a head off, each time it's slightly different, and you match it, you can tell if it's especially if you're in the business, you know what.
Taz 15, he put with Sif Tes and not Sif Ches.
Saying what?
That it's not enough for it to look similar. The body parts themselves will look similar. Generally, such as the
No,
color,
that's
the
he's
skin,
still talking about
etc.
color there.
To use this leniency, it must be very evident that the limbs are of the same.
That's with respect to the
Oh, I see
color.
what you're saying.
With respect to color,
Yeah.
because the Taz is learning that when the U'LeMaaseh, when the Shulchan Aruch here says that they match very well, it's not just in shape; it's also in color. And that he says we don't really know.
Just you brought Tes Vav, you brought 15
Yeah, but it's the same point.
as Ches.
I understand it's on test, but he's commenting on the color because he's making the comment about color here too.
It's on Tes.
Yeah,
So when you shecht an animal, you have to check the brain.
they check the whole animal. Yeah,
You always check the brain.
I'm not proficient in the laws of Treifa,
Yeah.
but I only know from learning the Rambam every day. And Treifa comes up, and there, yeah, you have to check any of the internal organs. Basically, you have to check.
Okay.
And this, every one of the internal organs have a whole bunch of details as to how they have to be healthy
Even a
enough,
broken limb would make it.
depending which one. But mostly it's the internal
Broken
organs.
limb would be
So I don't see a Taz like written in this. Like they have the Taz usually.
In Sefaria,
No, in that's Chabad.org. For Chet
after tests, there'll be a Taz.
after test.
Yeah.
So
But he comments on the color also because the Taz makes the argument that when the Machaber here says that the head has to be perfectly aligned with the neck, it means even in color.
Okay.
And that's where he launches the discussion about the nature of whether you can rely on color. Right? Because by the fat of the chicken, he said only color. And here he's saying head and shape and color has to match. And then he concludes by saying today we don't recognize color.
Okay.
But with shape, it's easy if it fits, it fits. Yeah. He even says if you look at the, you can see based on comparing the spinal cord. He said he figures some way looking at the fluid of the spinal cord helps you figure it out. I'm not familiar with this stuff. I don't know how to Treifa so well. And
When's the last time you
don't know the
had-
anatomy of
when's the
of
last
animals so
time you
well
had a head
either.
of a sheep in your hands?
I
So-
cannot. I dead one I definitely don't remember.
You wouldn't know how to
Exactly.
exactly adjust it to the body. You never even held the head.
Okay, so this concludes Kuf Aleph. This is officially our last shift left to Pesach. And we take the opportunity of this break to. Some already finished. Quite a few already submitted the test and got their results, Baruch Hashem. And we're doing nicely. But before we start on after Pesach, please, if everybody can get their test
2 or
done.
3 weeks now.
What does it say on the? Look at the group and tell me what the. It's the first Sunday after Pesach we're starting, or the Sunday after that? I don't remember.
Definitely not. Hopefully not that first Sunday.
It's 3 day Yom Tov, second day Pesach, right?
No, first one is 3 day, the second one
The second one's what is
it's
is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Shabbos.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Sunday is a shir ready.
We'll see.
Have a look.
No, it looks like we start. No, we use Sundays this year.
That's Sunday already.
April 12th. Well, I mean, April 12th to 16th. I mean, it doesn't have to be Sunday, but yeah.
Yeah, that week.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow, so it's really a break. It's like a.
it's a Pesach. Yeah, so if I have to do this again, I definitely will have taken notes about scheduling.
That's crazy.
It's not bad.
Okay.
That one. What do you mean? It's literally like a week.
We're March 20th. It's 2 weeks.
Now Shabbos, I gotta prepare for the next day. Okay.
Okay, I get it.
Have a wonderful day. Evening, everybody. Of kosher and freilich Pesach, happy kosher Pesach, a meaningful Pesach, and mismach geula legula. We go from one geula Purim to the next geula Pesach to the final geula.